let's do IGN. Let's react to IGN, our favorite water enthusiasts, our favorite too much water complainers, our favorite 7 out of 10 givers, Dragon's Dogma underraters. What else? You know, it's a classic. Let's check it out.
Monster Hunter Wilds is exceptionally exciting to me.
Oh, it's a bit loud.
I got a chance to go hands-on with it this week, and it feels like it recaptures what I loved about Monster Hunter World while learning from the joy that came from Monster Hunter Rise's enhanced mobility, finding a balance that felt great across the handful of missions I tried. It's unfortunate.
Do you agree with that, Chet? Does it? Did Monster Hunter Rise have enhanced mobility? Does that kind of check out, or what? At least in terms of what you're seeing with Wilds, does it look more like it's mobile, like you're more mobile, like Rise?
Finding a balance that felt great across the handful.
Rise feels much faster than World. Everything about Rise is faster. I see.
Of missions I tried.
Okay.
It's unfortunate that the rough performance of this early in-development build put a little bit of a damper on my demo time, but if Capcom can sort that out by launch next year, Wilds could be exactly what I was dreaming of from the next Monster Hunter.
They did have a glitch in the stream today. The game crashed. They had to restart the demo, but.
Okay, let's address the gamut in the room first. This gameplay is going to look a little choppy. I'm willing to give Capcom the benefit of the doubt here to a pretty substantial degree, given Wilds doesn't even have a release date beyond 2025 yet, so there's presumably a lot of time left to polish things up, but it's still worth mentioning that this demo ran distractingly bad at times. The frame rate could slow to a degree that almost made it hard to play, and the group I was playing with saw multiple hard crashes. Again, this in-development build is by no means the final version of Wilds, but it is the version Capcom chose to show us. I can't help but be just a touch concerned that maybe that's an indication that at best Wilds might drop later in 2025 than I was expecting, or at worst that Capcom bit off a little bit more than it will ultimately be able to chew with its impressively ambitious scope. That caveat aside, I had an absolute blast with Wilds.
I will say, maybe there's precedent to be concerned, not for Monster Hunter, but just for recent Capcom releases, because Dragon's Dogma 2, which I love that game, when it released, it had a lot of issues and still kind of does on PC. There were a lot of people in my chat. There were some people in my chat that had to like upgrade their PC. They couldn't figure out how to run it. So, but I think those were two, like Dragon's Dogma 2 is kind of the same in that it's very ambitious. You know, these are very ambitious open games. So, it kind of seems like we're in a scenario with these Capcom games where like they're aiming to give us an experience that wasn't previously thought possible, and they're pushing the boundaries of like what like what they can afford to do, what they have time to do, what they can like deliver, you know, to but you know, in like a reasonable period of time. I think they're trying to negotiate that and figure out like how can we like scale up all of our games and make them more awesome and deliver them. So I'm really hoping that doesn't happen with Monster Hunter though, because Monster Hunter is like a really established franchise. There's like no reason not to fund it a whole bunch. It's sold so much for Capcom. I looked up the numbers. It's crazy. You know, they should throw everything at this and really stick the landing on launch. You know, a demo build with problems. My God. Yeah, that's true. It's, you know, I mean, there's also like 7,000 other things going on at Gamescom. Yeah, this was the only game I saw at Gamescom that I was even remotely interested in, though. True, DG2 had some major tech problems for me. But yeah.
Immediately clear that it's continued to put a priority on smoothing out some of the traditionally rougher edges of the series. For instance, rideable monster mounts make a return after first being introduced as an automated option in World's Iceborne expansion, and then expanded into full control in Rise. This iteration...
Oh, is that what I have to look forward to with Iceborne, huh? Mounts? Okay. All right, all right.
World's Iceborne expansion, and then expanded into Full Control and Rise. This iteration leans more toward the latter, defaulting to following a target but allowing you to take the reins directly anytime. Your Dino Bird can scamper along special paths, glide, and give you time to use or collect items, which makes travel engaging in a way that feels less artificial than Rise's Speary Bird busywork. But it's not just a matter of convenience, as your mount also stores a second weapon option that you can swap to while riding. As a lifelong insect glaive main, this didn't really appeal to me at first, until I realized that you can also use ranged weapons like bowguns while mounted.
Oh.
That fully recontextualized this system to me, letting me pepper a retreating monster with bullets while my mount automatically chased it down.
That does
then
look
swapped
cool.
Back to my glaive when it was time to
I
hop
do like
off.
that.
I guess we're all learning ranged weapons now, and I am very okay with that added flexibility.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I almost like want to like just learn a ranged weapon just to have coverage, you know? Okay, chat has some opinions on IGN. Hey, listen, it's just an old classic. It's just they're an old staple. You know, we got to see what the big dogs at IGN, what the game experts at IGN are thinking.
Speak to my experience with the insect glaive when it comes to how weapons have changed, but I was surprised by the adjustments I saw there, most of which seem to be in service of the new focus mode that lets you more precisely aim your attacks at specific monster parts and special weak points. I found myself with a lot more options to sidestep or make micro adjustments while attacking, with seemingly fewer combos that would end with a move that killed my momentum, and more opportunities to really control how I was laying down the hurt. Again, I haven't played enough to have the clearest sense of that shift just yet, but it feels like that Rise philosophy of speeding up some of the clunkier parts of combat is alive and well, even if you aren't flying around on a wire bug this time. And if you'll indulge some glaive-specific gushing, there are two massive changes that radically altered the combat pattern I was used to. First,
this is actually okay. To their credit, like I haven't heard or seen a lot of people talking about insect glaive, so this is good to get some insights from an insect glaive user.
There are two massive changes that radically altered the combat pattern I was used to. First, landing your aerial attack no longer bounces you back into the air for a chain of helicopter blade slicing, which was admittedly a huge drag to discover. But the loss of that goofy fun is at least partly made up for by more convenience tweaks, as hitting a weak point with the special focus strike move will not only deal tons of damage, it also immediately collects all 3 Kinsect essences at once, massively speeding up that process in the mid to late part of a hunt.
Okay.
Your aiming reticle now also has a helpful little indicator that tells you...
It's a bit over my head. This entire weapon is a bit over my head, but it does look a little bit more accessible or fluid even from the footage that I did see.
Which essence the monster part you're aiming at will provide.
Oh wow, that's pretty huge. Okay.
And managing that system feels like an indicator that tells you which essence the monster part you're aiming at will provide. And managing that system
so
feels
you can
like
tell
less of a hassle all around. Even in my short playtime.
So were you guys going in blind on Monster Hunter World? Like you just have to aim for the part and you know just hope it's the right part? The changes are pretty big for the weapon, genuinely. Okay. Sucks that we can't be helicopters anymore, but that 3 extract collection is nice. Oh yeah, okay. Hammerman tries to learn insect glaive. Sweet lol. I'm doing my best here. If they're gonna give us a bunch of incentives to switch weapons, I need to get like familiar with them. You learn through experience.
I saw so many examples like this. Stuff that doesn't undermine the challenge and deliberate pace that makes Monster Hunter what it is, but does make the experience that much smoother. There's a quick option to use whatever recovery items you have that will minimize waste. Your hook can grab most items from afar, even while mounted. Collecting at gathering points moves just a bit quicker. You can finally pick up bomb barrels after placing them, and firing an SOS flare will even...
An important innovation. Picking up the explosives after you put them down. That's good.
You can finally pick up bomb barrels after placing them, and firing an SOS flare will even fill your team with AI hunters if you're offline, or until real people online are able to join. It's a laundry list of tweaks that aren't necessarily revolutionary, but all make so much sense you wonder why it wasn't like this before. Wild seemingly aims to keep hunters out in the field longer, too. Rather than kicking you back to town after a successful hunt, the second mission I did was structured closer to something like Iceborne's Guiding Lands, where you can stick around after to explore more.
Wait, did he
or
say a
immediately
second
to
mission?
Something like Iceborne's Guiding Land. Town after a successful hunt, the second mission I did was structured closer to something like Iceborne's Guiding
They gave these guys 2, I think.
Lands, where you can stick around after to explore more or immediately take on a new mission.
Or I guess maybe it was a timed demo.
With world events and other dynamic things coming and going around you. Rather than starting from a single tent, there's even a surprisingly large outpost on the map I saw, complete with NPCs to talk to. I didn't really...
Look at this cutie patootie.
Surprisingly large outpost on the map I saw, complete...
Look at this good boy. Look at this good boy right here. Look at the textures on all this stuff. Oh, I like tomato beanie, OMG. Yeah, exactly. Look at it. Him tomato. Tomato cat, QAF. Totally agree.
With NPCs to talk to. I didn't really get to dive into much of this side of Wilds in my demo, but it could add up to a very different feel between fights.
Wait, look at the little... I never noticed that. Hold on. Look at the little construction cat.
Of this side of Wilds
look at
in my
this.
demo, but it could add up to a very different feel between fights.
Look at him. Do you see him? He's a little construction kitty. The more I see the Palicos, the more I only want to play Wilds for them. They're getting really cute, man.
Dive into much of this side of Wilds in my
He
demo,
gets no
but it could
pay.
add up to a
Almost
very
certain.
different
Almost certainly not.
feel between fights. And from what I did see, Wilds is shaping up
Protect.
to be pretty much what I hoped for. A monster hunter that embraces the parts of Rise that made it so much more inviting, but also doesn't shy away from the larger scale and depth that helped make World the more enduring entry for me. It's hard to tell exactly which way that needle will point after just a few missions, or if these structural changes will swing it somewhere else entirely, but I certainly can't wait to play more so I can find out. For more on Monster Hunter Wilds, don't miss the most recent trailer from Gamescom, as well as its mechanics overview trailer. And for
All right.
anything else in the worlds, rises, or wilds of Monster Hunter, stick with IGN.
Sweet. Yeah, it sounds like it's a good balance of Wilds of Rise and World. I haven't played Rise, so I don't know. Maybe chat can speak on that. Was Rise more accessible, like you said? I don't know if that's actually the case or not. So I can't really speak to it, but I would have to imagine. Yep, it was more accessible. Okay. All right. To me personally, it still looks dense and deep, like Worlds. A little complicated. Much faster, much less punishment for mistakes. That was Rise. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this still feels like they took Worlds and they like made it cool. Like from my point of view, since I've only played World, it looks like they took World and they made it cooler. They scaled it up more, and they made the quality of life like so much better, and the environments in this game are like insane as well. So, yeah, super hyped for this game for sure. And sounds like it's a good mixture of Wilds and Rise. Wait, World and Rise. Almost nailed it at the end there.